We're sitting here with Terry Foster this morning because that's what we do on Thursdays. And we've been talking a lot about the Pistons, a lot about Cade Cunningham, a little bit about Jalen Green. I want to throw it back to kind of the old school Pistons a little bit because Netflix is coming out with a series or a documentary on the Malice at the Palace. And the trailer came out, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago. And here is a little sneak preview of what it's going to look like.
Some people have control over their emotions. I don't. I was trying to find any way to escape. I want the story out there. Like, what happened? Go frame by frame.
A fight broke out between the Pacer team and the fans in the stands.
People were trying to hurt me and others.
There was a full-scale riot.
I'm never talking about this shit again.
Well, that's coming out on Netflix. The only thing I don't like about that, where the fuck are the Pistons players? Like, you're only going to interview Pacers players for the trailer? That's what I didn't love about that. Like, there had to be Ben Wallace in there. There's got to be John Green.
Should have been
Let the soft people speak first.
Right.
Because, nobody wanted to mess with Ben Wallace.
Right.
Because he's, I don't know if you know, he's a little bit muscular and
big guy.
Yeah, big man.
Steven Jackson was on, I believe, the Breakfast Club the other day doing an interview. And when he started describing what started the whole thing, he was saying, all right, Ron wanted to get him back for a foul from the previous playoffs. And that was just a get-back foul. Steven Jackson purposely took Ben on that play so that Ron wouldn't commit the foul, but Ron found a way to get his foul in. Right. But the way he said, then Ben Wallace pushed his head into the 10th row. And it was like, damn, even Steven Jackson realized that Ben Wallace took Ron Artest and damn near threw him out the stadium.
Well, Steven Jackson is a very upfront guy. He might be a little bit crazy, but he tells it like it is.
Yeah.
But one of the guys that I was surprised was Jermaine O'Neal, because I had interviewed him a few times, visited with him in Indianapolis, and I just thought he was just a cool, down-to-earth guy, and he talked a lot about how he wanted to be a role model in the league, and he didn't like violence, and he wanted to be one of those guys that your kids looked up to. And then all of a sudden, I see my man going crazy. I'm like, damn, did he lie to me, or just was this a crazy moment?
I mean, I think in that moment, you're on tilt, man. You're protecting yourself at any level. You see fans rushing at you I can't blame him for knocking out that one dude on the court. That's
a hell of a punch.
And he slid into him. That's one of the most power. It's one of the most iconic punches I've ever seen thrown.
Hey, I give credit to my man for still standing up.
Both of them, yeah, he didn't go down.
He's like, yeah, I am.
Steven Jackson was saying he's actually kind of mad at Ron Artest for becoming friends with John Green, the guy that threw the cup.
They became friends after that?
Yeah, they started to do some charity work together. They became friends. Yeah,
of course. Charity heals all.
Steven Jackson was saying, listen, that cost me millions. I got suspended because I went in the stands for you, and you become friends with the guy afterwards?
I mean, you got to move forward. What are you going to despise the guy your whole life?
Is a different personality, as everybody knows.
Dude switched his name. Dude switched his name. You're saying his name even wrong.
Meta World Peace.
No, it's Meta World something else now.
Yeah, Artest. It's Meta World Artest now, I think.
Right. But after the Malice, I went to Indy to interview him when he was off of suspension. And one of the first things, man, I thought, first of all, I'm not getting this interview with this dude. He's not going to talk to me. I came down to Indy for no reason. But he talked. And he said the most interesting thing he said is, I could play for the Pistons. If they wanted me as a free agent, I would listen. I could play there. But the thing is, and he didn't address this, but would this community accept him after the black eye Detroit in the vicinity suffered, after this big blemish? Would this community accept him?
I think so. I would have, at least. I hated Ron Artest in that moment, but I loved him as a player. Like, he's the type of guy you hate to play against, but you love on your team. Like a Bill Laimbeer. We embraced Bill Laimbeer. We embraced Rick Mahorn. When Mahorn was with the Cavs, we didn't really like him, right?
Right.
And then he came here, and it was like, that's our guy. So I would have embraced him, Joey.
Oh, I mean, that's the thing. I don't hold grudges for that long. Obviously, what happened that day, but it's on the court, you know. It was a dirty move. Can't discredit that at all, but he's, like you said, one of those guys that you want on your team.
How do you think the team would have accepted him? Do you think that would have been something?
That would have been the problem, because Ben Wallace doesn't let grudges go. So at some point, yeah, they would become teammates, and at some point they would fight for the big cause and everything, because that's what guys do,
right,
in professional sports. But I'm sure initially Ben would be looking at him like, oh, this mug is in here? Okay. And you know what? Probably would have a couple scuffles during practice, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas and Bill Lambier were boys. They hit each other.
Yeah. No, sometimes you need that. You need that tension in the locker room, because as long as it's competitive based, you know, not like pure hate, I don't like you type stuff. As long as it's, hey, you know, I want this, you want this, we're both alphas, we're gonna butt heads, cool, we're getting somewhere, we're growing, we're becoming a team. But if it's all ego based and you know, like,
and I think Ron Artest, if he came here, he knew he could never be like the captain of the team or the guy that everybody followed. So he would just, you know, play his defense, get his 18 to 20 points a game, and just, you know, call it a day.
Man, think about him on that lineup in place of like a Tayshaun Prince. Because that's obviously the role that he would have played, right? The three.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Tayshaun, I
love
thought,
Tayshaun.
had a very nice career here, but Tayshaun wasn't that guy. You know, at the NBA at that time, small forwards had to get you 20 points. That was their job. Get you 20 points.
What was he averaging in his prime?
It was like
15,
yeah,
14.
Even probably less, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes 9.5.
But on
10.
defense,
he was the
how
fifth
lengthy
option,
he was.
too.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, he was the fifth option. And we didn't look to Tayshaun to score, but when he did, he could light up the gym. One of my favorite videos of all time is him at Kentucky. He starts off the game against North Carolina with 5 straight three-pointers, and they progressively get deeper. It's one of the greatest videos. If you haven't seen that video, look it up today on YouTube. It's one of my favorite like starts of any basketball game I've ever seen.
I hate his shot.
Oh,
yeah,
the weird
such
lefty.
ugly, yeah,
like,
so
It's
ugly.
nasty.
Yeah, lefties have weird
the
shots.
other thing I would say about him, he didn't score a lot his rookie season or his second year, but during the playoffs, you know, we talk about taking big shots at the end of games. Guess who was taking that shot? Tayshaun Prince was. They were dumping it to him down low. He wasn't hitting 3-pointers, but he was doing that
Because he was so lengthy. That's why.
And he had balls. He wasn't afraid.
Right. Yeah, no, he'd take the smaller defender on the block and back him down and shoot that little left-handed hook over him. I love Tayshaun's game, and that's part of the reason why we didn't draft Carmelo Anthony, which obviously led to Darko, but, you know, we regress.
That's not happening tonight.
So are you looking forward when they do documentaries like this? I know you were in the Bad Boys 30 for 30 documentary. Like, are you looking forward to something like that on Netflix?
Yeah, I love documentaries.
Okay.
And particularly on Netflix or something like that, where you can just let things go. You can say things that you can't say on regular TV. So
right.
I'm real curious to see what kind of job they do.
So you weren't at the Palace that night, you said?
I was not. I was gallivanting about. In fact, I stopped at a sports bar in Macomb County to watch the rest of the game, and then I was like, "Whoa, is this for real?"
Right.
So I was like stunned by the because it's something you don't. I covered the bad boy Pistons. That never happened with them.
Even though they had fights with like Parrish on the court and stuff like that, but it never obviously bled over into the stands, right?
But you know, you never go into the stands,
right?
And fans should know you never go into the court. And the beer is like getting onto the court,
right?
You don't have to physically be on the court, but don't throw anything.
I mean, that was a hell of a throw, though.
It was,
hell of a throw.
How many rows up was that?
Like he was like 25 rows up, but this is essentially what he threw: a cup half full of liquid. Like, I don't know if I could hit Andrew Jonah in the chest from here, but
yeah,
dude did it. The liquid stayed in the cup the entire flight and didn't explode till it hit the dude's chest. Like, it's
like a water
honestly,
balloon.
That's a once in a lifetime throw. He could throw that a million more times and never hit him, and I wonder how much that would have changed history. Like, if the cup exploded on the scorer's table next to him.
He would just look like an idiot. Yeah, he would look like an idiot because it would have pissed him off in that moment.
Right. It's just
The
such a
miracle
crazy
throw.
scene. It really is. And it set off just this insane chain of events where Ron Artest runs into the stands and attacks the dude who didn't throw it. That's what I love about it.
Right.
Like John Green, if you watch back the video of him going into the stands, John Green is actually the one trying to pull back Artest off the poor kid that's getting his ass
Right.
beat.
He's the poor kid's looking like, I know he's not coming over here. What's going on here?
If you can pull that video up, Alex, of that very moment, because you see the dude that's about to get his ass beat, like, here they come,
Right,
here they come.
right.
Like, he's like rooting for them to come in
Right.
the stands, and then you see just sheer terror in his face, like, oh, they think it's me, and then all of a sudden, bah, bah,
Poor guy.
bah. Steven Jackson, in that interview I was talking about earlier, said that he feels if that happened today, they wouldn't have gotten as big of a suspension. Do you believe that? Because like Ron Artest got the whole year, Steven Jackson
No,
got.
absolutely. I think things have changed where flagrant fouls are different now.
Right. Well, you touch a guy, it's a flagrant.
Right.
Now.
I think they would. Yeah, it would be the same.
Same suspension.
Yeah. I almost said maybe they give him 2 years, but now they wouldn't do that.
No, he was saying like, look, I think the NBA has a better understanding of what assault is, and if I was at a bar and a dude threw a beer at me, that's considered assault. So I would have every right to go defend myself.
Yeah, but the NBA doesn't like players going into the stands.
Yeah.
He forgot
They don't
that
like
part.
fans throwing shit on the court though too. So
I understand that, but you're supposed to be beyond that.
yeah, I mean you gotta realize at the end of the day they're human beings.
Yeah.
You throw something at someone, you can get your ass beat.
Well, I was talking to Darren McCarty about it yesterday. I was like, are you happy that like NHL has the plexiglass around the entire ice?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh yeah. Because he would have been the guy that goes into the stands. And we got to talking about, when you're in the penalty box and people are giving you shit in the penalty box and
Ty
stuff
Domi,
like.
man.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what he pointed to. He's like, listen, I would Ty Domi everybody. Like,
Right. I mean, fans just can't let a guy sit in the penalty box for 2 minutes and let him go. They got to talk shit. And,
right.
blah blah blah. And you brought up the NHL and the plexiglass. You know what really annoys me, and it usually happens at little bullshit NHL teams like Carolina and Anaheim. You get this asshole just banging on the plexiglass the whole game. I can't stand that. Stop. Watch the damn game.
There's fish banging on the plexiglass right now.
Right. The whole game. I'm like, will you please stop?
Yeah.
Hey, but it does sound sweet though when you hear and then the player comes out there and they're banging it back at them.
Well, checking a body into the plexiglass is
Yeah.
a lot different than some guy just going bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
I have no sense.
I'm looking forward to this documentary. Joe, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I mean, I worry about documentaries because we look at what the trailer is and it's only showing the Pacer players giving their take on it. So I hope they do a good job. It's Netflix. They always do a pretty good job at these documentaries. It's going to be cool.
And so hopefully this is not controlled by the Indiana Pacers like Last Dance. Last Dance, when they talked about the Pistons walking off, they forgot to include the comments by Michael Jordan the day before the walkout.
Right.
Never mentioned, ever.
Yeah, The Last Dance, I mean, that whole documentary, all they did was stroke Jordan, but yeah, they left some stuff out about
He
the
was
bad boys.
executive producer, sort of.
But that's what scared me about the trailer is you only have Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, and Ron Artest in that. Like, where's the Pistons' perspective on this? Like,
At least a little take. Come on.
because that was, if people don't remember, Ben Wallace had just lost a family member shortly before that game, so he was in no condition for somebody to be fucking with him. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's messed up.
And you know who else went nuts in that game? Rasheed Wallace. But he was more trying to break things up. But he was really aggressive
Defending
too.
his boy.
that was the thing. Seeing Rasheed Wallace and Rick Mahorn being peacemakers,
Yeah, that's
just
dangerous.
blew my mind. It was not something I expected to see that night.
Yeah, because Rick Mahorn was part of. He had a little tag team, Bump and Thump, with him, I think, and Jeff Rulin, because they just used to blast people and.
Yeah, what do you say in the Bad Boys 30 for 30? I'd give him a little tap. I'd tap him.
Yeah, it was a tap.
A tap. Those half-court picks. Just a little tap. Knock him out of the
Yeah,
game.
he had that big bubble butt, man. He used to get his taps used to get fouls because they said that tap's a little too heavy. And so they would call a foul on him. He would be so pissed.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. It was him and Lambier. Tap, tap. That's what they'd say to each other when it was time to, put somebody on the ground. I love that type of basketball, man. We're never going to get back to it.
You know what else Mahorn used to do? He used to do the matador, where he was guarding a guy, and the guy is posting him up, and then he would just step away.
Pull the chair,
and a few times he got called for a foul for that. I'm like, dude, he's stepping away.
No contact.
He can't help it that the dude fell. They didn't call travel. A lot of times they will call travel, but I know a few times Rick Mahorn got called for foul. I'm like, okay, how is that a foul when you're running away from somebody?
Yeah, well, Mahorn, it's your image just stays with you, and they're going to call those bullshit fouls. It happened to Lambier, those ticky. I mean, we can talk about the phantom foul if you want. That was all due to reputation.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. It wasn't a foul on that play, but they called the foul because of what he did with the Celtics and some stuff that he did early in the series. Yeah, I don't buy that stuff, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah, well, we had a crazy Tigers game last night. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that. Plus, you wanted to talk about Michigan State, and we are going to do that next, coming up on the Woodward Sports Network. But let me tell you about my people at Coast. It's right behind me right now. CoastPortland.com is where you need to go if you want any outdoorsy stuff. I'm talking knives. I'm talking lanterns. I'm talking headlamps. I'm talking glasses. Whatever you need to be outdoors and in the wilderness, Coast will hook it up. So go to CoastPortland.com. Enter promo code WSN20. And I got to say happy birthday to my nephew, Will. One of the things that he really wanted for his birthday was a Coast knife. So we hooked him up with that. Will, it's in the mail. Sorry it's not there on your birthday, but I got you, buddy. And happy 14th birthday to my nephew. I can't believe this kid's 14 years old. So happy birthday, buddy. Absolutely love you. And if you're looking for a gift to give to somebody, make sure you go to CoastPortland.com.